Hey everyone, and welcome back. I'm Mike Wade. Thank you for tuning in to Dissect and Connect, a podcast where we explore population health issues impacting your community. This podcast is a service of Montgomery County Prevention Partners and New River Valley Community Services. Our podcast is made possible by a grant from Carilion Clinic. The views expressed in this program may not reflect those of Carilion Clinic. Kate Jackson is the coordinator for Virginia Tiered Systems of Support with Montgomery County Public Schools. She has a master's degree in special education with endorsements in learning disabilities, intellectual disabilities, and emotional disabilities, as well as a certification in autism studies. Kate has worked in the education field for over 18 years in K-12 public school and with the Department of Education's Training and Technical Assistance Center. The focus for Kate's position at Montgomery County Public Schools is to provide system-wide strategically planned tiered supports for academics, behavior, and mental health, all under the lens of inclusiveness, equity, and accessibility. This past fall, Montgomery County Public Schools provided an opportunity for Kate and another colleague to be trained in youth mental health first aid. She is now a certified instructor with this research-based program and coordinates and offers this training monthly to both Montgomery County Public Schools staff as well as any interested community member. In Kate's free time, she loves to play with her two daughters, as well as run, bike, read, and enjoy the outdoors. So Kate, welcome to the Dissect and Connect podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you. So we're recording this interview on April the 9th, and we are deep into the pandemic at this point, and I just was curious to see how life is going for you in your personal life, to kind of touch base and see how you're handling this at home.
Well, thank you for thinking about myself and my family. I guess I think all of us could say that our world changed on Friday the 13th, which is in March, and almost a month ago. And it's kind of seems like it was yesterday, but it also seems like it was years ago. We are adjusting. The initial shock has started to settle a little bit, and we've gotten into our routine here between working and being a homeschooling mom, and being able to address all of the needs that go on both professionally and personally. It's been hard. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's been a learning curve. There are days where I think I've got the routine down pat, and then by, noon, it's like, okay, everybody needs to go for a walk. And I must not be alone, because I look out the window and I see neighbors coming and going, and, people are definitely trying to cope in their own ways. And it seems like outdoors and sunshine has really been helpful for most of us.
It never hurts, that's for sure.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
You're involved with the Montgomery County Prevention Partners Coalition, and you also presented at our community forum that we held back in February in Christiansburg. And a key focus of that conversation was youth mental health. And that's really what we want to focus on today. And we had some young people, some students that participated in that particular event and gave us some really strong feedback about their interest and need for more information about mental health and being connected to resources. And I was so impressed with the young people that actually did participate in that conversation. And I think that's kind of been a springboard for a lot of the things that we've done as a coalition since then. So just wanted to maybe get your thoughts about the forum and what you thought of the feedback that we heard from the students.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for allowing me to present on youth mental health first aid. As you know, that is a professional development or training opportunity that Montgomery County has stood behind for years and years. It's a research-based training program, and it essentially gives participants, the tools to be able to identify mental health crises or substance abuse or youth crises, and understand them and how to respond. So the opportunity to speak at the forum was not the full training. Full training is 8 hours. It's a long, intense day, but it was an opportunity to present it to our community and share what we are doing with Montgomery County Public Schools, and allowing people to know that everybody is invited to this training. And the more people who know about it, the more we can make a difference in people's lives. So that event, it was, I guess, in February. And it was a nice event for our community because families and us, our Montgomery County students, showed up, and they were able to talk about what they were seeing in the schools. And we were also able to share how our professional development is providing this type of training for our folks. So what came out of it is continued partnership with our community, and an awareness that we have many different opportunities around mental health that folks are welcome to attend, and that a lot of our offerings that we present are for anybody. It doesn't have to be a counselor. It doesn't have to be a social worker. It can be a parent. It can be a neighbor. It can be a teacher. It can cross the board of all of our adults in the area. Now, one of the things that I thought was really interesting was a few of the students, after hearing me speak on the youth mental health first aid professional development, was that they wanted to attend. And that was kind of a new opportunity for us, and so cool to have parents or family members with these teenagers saying, we want to do this as a group. I mean, this is such great information that can we bring our child to the next youth mental health first aid training? So we talked about that with Montgomery County Public Schools. Our training is really more geared towards the adults and the staff that we supervise. But what we're looking into is the teen mental health first aid course. And that is just brand new. It has just been rolled out through the Mental Health First Aid organization. And so what I can say about that is I hope that it will be coming sooner than later.
Yeah, I think that would be a great opportunity for young people in our community to be able to go through a training like that. And I'm encouraged that we're having more and more conversation about mental health and its impact within young people, and for them to begin to see that and understand the importance of that at an early age, I think is incredibly valuable.
Yeah, we have some very strong voices in our youth with Montgomery County Public Schools. I'm super proud of that. We actually have a mental health advisory committee that was created just this past summer, a year ago almost. And we have students that are representing from all the communities within our district. And that's really, really cool to see. Our youth are sitting right there on the board with all these adults and staff members and advocating and sharing their thoughts and feelings. I mean, that's how we learn. We need to know what they're thinking, how they're feeling, so that we can adjust what we're doing as well.
And it's wonderful that you've given them that voice and that opportunity to have that platform. I'm really excited to hear that.
Yeah. Well, I have to thank our leadership for that, no doubt. That's one of our strengths for Montgomery County Public Schools. Our superintendent and assistant superintendent have always listened to the students and the families. And then they share that out with the rest of the leadership team on how we can farm out who's going to make sure we're running these teams effectively, and we're listening to all these voices and making sure we're addressing these needs.
Well, you all are doing a great job. I did want to talk about the impact of the pandemic on youth mental health, and just with your base of knowledge and your experience working in the public school system, what are your thoughts about how this situation is affecting young people?
Well, so I guess I'll take a step back from my role with Montgomery County Public Schools, and I'll address this as a mother.
Yeah.
So Montgomery County Public Schools, as you know, delivers food. This past yesterday, we delivered thousands of meals because not only did we provide breakfast and lunch, but we actually loaded up the cart so that while we're on spring break, students got even more and more meals. So we kind of paid it forward.
Yeah.
And I have to say that as a mother, my kids look forward to the food bus every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's the consistency.
Yeah.
It's the routine. It's seeing those familiar faces.
Mm-hmm.
So I can say thank you so much for the public schools for keeping that consistency going for our students. I also know that as a mother, a lot of schools were doing those car parades, and that was just so much fun.
Yeah.
So the more we got involved with our schools, it has kept that connectedness for my kids to feel somewhat like they're still part of their community. But also, if you look at the mental health first aid website, the address is mentalhealthfirstaid.org. There is a whole section on COVID-19 and mental health first aid. So there was one particular article that they posted that I thought was one of the best. And basically it was to remind yourself that others are feeling the same way as you.
Right.
The feelings of grief or sadness or fear, feeling insecure is normal, and it's okay to feel like you're not particularly okay at this time, but that it's also important to practice self-care. And with the self-care would be eating healthfully, finding great things to eat around your house, maybe even make that comfort food that, brings back that, oh yeah, I love this, this is good. Exercise, that's been a big one for me. It seems like anytime I can just even take a walk around the block, it resets my mind to, okay, we've got this. Practice relaxation therapy, breathing, meditation. There are so many resources on YouTube, online, and many of them are free now. A lot of our mental health experts have really stepped up their game and just said, here, take this. If this is what makes you feel good, I'm gonna provide this show or this training or this workout for you for free, this meditation opportunity. So practicing relaxation therapy is a big one. Increasing exposure to light was mentioned in the article, and, getting out in that sunshine, taking in that vitamin D, being kind to yourself, be your own friend, stay connected. I don't know about you, but I've been calling everybody, especially FaceTime.
Yeah. Well, it's important to stay connected.
And then, pardon me?
It's important to stay connected.
Yeah. I have this, I'm originally from Minnesota, which people might hear this on the podcast and not be too surprised. But I have about 60 relatives in Minnesota, and we will start a group text, and my phone will just buzz, bing, 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 all day long, because there's so many people checking in. And then finally, monitoring social media and just media consumption in general. I don't know about you, but sometimes I like to know the latest and the greatest, and then there's other times where it's like, okay, I've had enough. I need to live my own life for a little bit and breathe.
Yeah, you got to step away from that stuff.
Yeah, Yeah, I think the best thing we can do during this is just really to take care of ourselves. If we can make sure we are at the best that we can provide, then it's only going to trickle down to our children and our friends and our family and the folks that we take care of. Is that we got to focus on what we can do for ourselves.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's important that we as adults and parents model those practices and those behaviors so our kids and young people do pick up on that and see that as healthy ways of coping.
It's so true. It's so true. I keep reading articles on homeschooling and balancing between the workload that our students have to continue to complete, but then also trying to find these fun activities and things to do and experiments and artwork and science and getting into other areas, because this might be one of the years where we won't have standardized testing.
Right.
So maybe this is our opportunity to explore some other avenues.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we've got to think that there's going to be some good come out of all this. I mean, we have to be optimistic, I think,
Absolutely.
as much as we can be.
Yes, I can say that when I think about in the moment of a pandemic, what am I grateful for? Where is my gratitude? I've had the opportunity to spend a lot more time with my girls than I normally don't normally get. So I'm thankful every day, even though it's hard and the balance is real.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for every day that, I get to see their faces and I get to be part of their learning and trying to find that fun and joy every day.
Yeah, that gratitude is so important, I think, in trying to get through difficult times and points in our lives where we really do feel the struggle, like what we're going through now. Being able to keep focus on what we're grateful for and what is good in our lives is definitely a healthy place to go in our minds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely doing that helps bring meaning to the moment, for sure.
Well said. That's a great way to put it. Great way to put it.
Yeah.
I mentioned to you before we started the interview that I actually am the father of a high school senior. And, I do think about how he's been impacted by the possibility of not being able to have things like senior prom, the graduation ceremony, walking across the stage, getting his diploma, that those are definitely in jeopardy at this point. And it's just a lot to be thrown on top of a point in his life and for any other senior where they're going through that transition of being a student and going into secondary education or the workforce or whatever. It just compounds what they're already dealing with. So I think if you are the parent of someone in that position, a young person who's preparing to graduate, to certainly give them some leeway, maybe some additional support, and recognize that they're kind of up against it right now.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Some of those rites of passages are what seniors, lean on for their transition to the next level and their opportunities to say goodbye and their closure. And it's not there. I know that Montgomery County is being responsive to these ceremonies, and this conversation has been brought up multiple times, and definitely there have been many thoughtful conversations about how we can move forward so that we can provide those opportunities still for our seniors. It might not look the same, but it'll be something that they can use as their closure.
They'll definitely have some stories to tell their grandchildren one of these days, right?
Oh my gosh, right. I mean, really. I can't imagine the stories that will come out of this. I hope people are journaling. I know I have I obviously, like everybody else, I have my cell phone with me at all times, and I just take pictures throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you've had an opportunity or if you've done it. You should if you haven't. If you take pictures like me, or if somebody that you love does like me, look through their phone starting on April or March 13th until now, and look at the progression of the pictures. It blows my mind. it's, it's pictures of homeschooling and pictures
Mm-hmm.
of cooking together, and we're out on a walk, and it's just been pretty mind blowing of everything that we've done together as a family, and you can almost feel the mood just looking at the
Wow.
pictures.
Yeah.
So if you're not a journaler, maybe you could take a daily photo.
That's
try and remember the moment.
That's a really neat idea, and certainly I think would give you some perspective in going back to that whole thing about gratitude and what you need to be grateful for.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, Kate, do you have any tips for parents beyond what we've already talked about in how to help their students navigate through this time and to press on in the face of some adversity and uncertainty?
I mean, going back to those original suggestions, I really would say that as a parent, the best thing you can do is provide yourself some of that space and giving yourself that care that you need. Be your own best friend. Give yourself a little breather and give yourself some grace. Because with that attitude and mentality, it will lead into being able to provide the calmness needed in your home.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if it's not working, I mean, when you're right in the middle of writing an email and trying to answer your kids' questions and you're feeling frustrated, take that moment to take a breath. Just give yourself that space that you need, because we're all in that. Most of us are feeling the same way.
Yeah.
And giving each other that grace and ourselves is going to be really important as we maneuver through this process.
Yeah.
And we will get through this. This too shall pass.
Right.
And keeping that in perspective as well, that it will get better. It will get better.
Yeah. Well, and I think, the point about, as a parent, not putting too much pressure on yourself to be perfect or for your children to be perfect, because what we're in right now is not a perfect situation by any means.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are a lot of different demands, and parents are being tugged and pulled in different directions that they've never had to take on before. I mean, just having to focus on the educational aspect to basically be a teacher and to do that homeschooling is a whole new ballgame for so many parents, I would imagine. And the demands and the stress that comes with that alone would be monumental. I'm glad my kids are older now. I don't have to worry about that now. But yeah, I mean, to be able to have to take that on top of trying to hold down your job and just keep your home running, I mean, it's a lot of pressure for parents, and that can feed over into the kids and how they feel, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I have a daughter in 5th grade, and 5th grade math is no joke.
It's over my head.
I am so thankful for the teachers that provide the Zoom meetings. Both my girls meet with their teachers regularly. And I mean, we're on email with them all the time. I feel comfortable reaching out to all of our folks with our public school and know I can lean on them.
Mm-hmm.
So even though as parents and family members, we feel like we need to take all this on ourselves, and it's our now, we have to provide all this. We have to educate our children. Yeah, we do, but we also have some really talented folks that are still our kids' teachers, and they are right there with us. They are an email away. For me, I have my daughter's cell phone numbers, or my daughter's teacher's cell phone numbers, so I can call them at any time. So, no, we're not alone.
Right.
We have people out there.
Yeah.
We do. And tug on those resources. When you need somebody to help you out, send that email and pass it back over. That's okay. You don't need to do it all.
That's an important reminder. I'm glad you made that point.
I should also mention that our principals, our administrators are also just a phone call away, and our school counselors. Pull on those school counselors if you need somebody to check in with your child, or if you even want to check in with somebody. They are there as well.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that. Any other thoughts about what kids themselves can do to kind of mitigate this and get through it?
So I think at least for kids in general, I guess the setup really comes from, first of all, family members. Try and keep a routine.
Mm-hmm.
Try and keep some sort of consistency. It's not a, as we've said at Montgomery County Public Schools, it's not a snow day. we're still trucking along. But I also think that, find that joy. If running outside, kicking the soccer ball, my kids love their scooters. If that's what brings you joy, go for it. My kids have hamsters. We've gotten into making a lot of hamster mazes. We've written stories about our hamsters. We've really made our pets turn into part of our classmates, I guess you would say. And there is something to be said about having an animal around that, brings a lot of people comfort and joy.
Yeah.
So
very true.
Bring those animals into the scene as well. Continue to have your kids FaceTime their friends, check in, make connections, make sure that their friends are doing okay as well, and just be connected with everybody. Even though we have to socially distance from each other and hole ourselves up in our house, that doesn't mean that we can't still check in, and we can do that through so many ways, through phone calls, through FaceTime, through Zoom, through WebEx. There are so many different platforms where we can make connections. In fact, later today, I'll be making a TikTok video with my daughters on a dance. And
okay.
That's the new rage as well, dancing. And just a disclaimer, I'm a terrible dancer, so I'm really stepping out of my box on this one.
So that's what all the cool and hip parents are doing now. TikToks.
Yes.
All right.
TikToks, just find what makes your kids happy and just jump in with it.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it makes you feel like you're not good at it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And then we also I'm trying to keep the traditions alive as well. As you know, there's a holiday going on this weekend. The Easter Bunny will be visiting. We always make a bunny cake every year.
Mm-hmm.
So I have already got all our ingredients for our bunny cake. There will be Easter eggs in our yard.
Yeah.
We will still continue to celebrate the things that we always have.
Yeah. Again, it goes back to that routine and
yes.
what normal expectations are for kids.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Any parting words of wisdom?
We're all in this together. If anything came out of this pandemic, at least for me, it made me realize the humanity and kindness that is really out there. Every time I see a Montgomery County school bus driving down the road, and Radford City school bus, it makes my heart pitter patter, because I know that we are giving it our all. We have folks that are stepping up and saying, we're making sure these kids are getting fed and keeping their routine. And when I see that, it reminds me of how much kindness. That's just a small little thing that we're doing big thing, but it's a little thing that we're doing in our community. But these kinds of events are happening all over the world, really. And that I am thankful that we have the kindness that we really have. Our folks, everybody is in it together, and I'm hopeful and know that our future is bright. We'll all get through this, definitely.
Well said. That's a great way to wrap up our conversation. Kate, if someone is interested in a youth mental health first aid training, or they want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
Thank you. Yes, so the youth mental health first aid training, we usually offer this once a month, and it has been so well received. And one of the things that I'm super proud of is that it's not just closed to Montgomery County Public School employees. Dr. Meyer has given us a thumbs up to say anybody who wants this training can have it. So we have had folks in the past from other school systems. We've had foster parents. We've had nurses. We've had people from Virginia Tech and Radford University. We've had student teachers. We've had anybody who wants to come to our youth mental health first aid training is welcome, as long as we have the space. We usually limit it to about 25 participants, just because the day is heavy. It is hard for folks.
Mm-hmm.
So we do hold a waiting list. Right now we have the events on pause due to social distancing.
Sure.
I have a conference call coming up with mentalhealthfirstaid.org, and hopefully they'll come up with some alternative platforms
mm-hmm.
to provide this information. Right now it really is hands-on, face-to-face, and it's important for that in case we have participants that want to talk about what's going on with them. But nonetheless, we will be bringing these trainings back. It will be once a month. We advertise on Peach Jar, on Twitter. It is also in flyers throughout schools, and it's an all-day event. Folks leave with a book that is very comprehensive on mental health and substance abuse or use disorders, and gives folks, the tools that they need so that they can assess the situation and help folks to the next level where they may need extra support. This training is basically like a first aid CPR, but on the mental health side. So we aren't asking folks to come out of this as counselors. It is more of an opportunity where folks are more aware and can provide the next step of resources for somebody who may need extra help.
Yeah, it's an incredible opportunity, and bonus, it's free.
Yeah.
Which is always a beautiful thing.
And we also work with New River Community Services on this as well.
We are happy to partner with Montgomery County Public Schools and you, Kate, in providing that training opportunity for not only school staff, but the community, as you said. We'll include some information about mental health first aid in the show notes.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Kate, thank you again so much for taking time out of your day to be a guest on our podcast. Enjoyed talking to you, and hope that we can have you back soon.
I would love it. I hope you and everybody in our community continue to stay well and take care of yourself, enjoy the sunshine, and give yourself grace as needed.
Kate, thanks again.
Thank you.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Dissect and Connect. For more information about